he couldn't babble, he couldn't roll over. He probably displayed early signs of autism, and he also had what, on reflection, are now probably were absent seizures. So all of those things together started to add up, and but you know, I did manage him as a single adopter. I felt really successfully for the first 18 months that he was with me.
So you did really well. Things were going okay.
Yeah.
But then his condition got really bad.
Yeah, really bad. He started to, basically after 18 months, he started to have uncontrollable epileptic seizures. They were unmanageable. He didn't respond to medicines. He was on up to 20 different medications a day. We were basically living in the hospital, taking up one of the HDU units. He had breathing issues, and he did slip into comas. And it was on one of those occasions that he was rushed to Great Ormond Street Hospital. And basically, when we got there, they were able to diagnose that he had neurological damage from birth, which was obviously no one was aware of that prior to me adopting him. They basically said that he was going to need more than 2 carers to look after him, and as a result, you know, I had to, in combination with social workers and the doctors in Great Ormond Street, make the decision that he had to go into a placement where his needs could be met.
Very, very tough decision for you to make. Absolutely heartbreaking. Had he been a child that you'd given birth to yourself, would your decision have been any different?
I mean, I think this is one of the things that I do need to address. It would have been no different if he was my biological child or adoptive child. It wasn't because he was adopted that I just returned him. Basically, there was no care package available that local authority could provide for my child, so that would enable him to stay living at home with me. And because of that, because of his extensive needs, he needed 24/7 round-the-clock care. He's had to go to a placement where they can look after his needs.
So if he was your biological son, that would have been exactly the same thing.
No different.
Not a decision that you make lightly. You must have had, it must have been hellish.
Absolutely devastating. And you know, you put everything into looking after this child. You've adopted because, you know, for all the right reasons, and then to have the child, obviously, you feel like you failed, and you feel doubly guilty, I think, because you know that this is a child that you've taken on to try and turn their life around, and being unable to do that was devastating.
But it would have been, do you think, in your heart of hearts, it would have been impossible to keep a hold of him? You wouldn't have been able to do it?
Lorraine, it was impossible. It was impossible. And obviously, after having gone through that heartbreak, I then, having had the full support of social workers, I then was into another situation whereby it felt as if all support for me was then withdrawn, and what happened was then I had to have a care order for my child, so that they could take on responsibility for his needs and make decisions. And that's when I basically ended up having to get a care order granted on a neutral basis, so that no blame was apportioned for the breakdown of the placement. Now, this would occur whether he was my adoptive child or a biological child. It took me 5 months to get that care order on a neutral basis, and that was devastating. You know, to have that going on at the same time as trying to cope with losing my son.
Because that's the thing. I mean, I think people forget, and you have, as you've said, you've had a lot of criticism. But you know, it is like a bereavement in a way, because you have lost him, and doubled with that, you do feel that you've failed him.
I did feel that, and I set up a website to basically help other people that have been through something like this.
Well, 1 in 30. Hearing. That's the estimate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you know what? I would like to just say that I am an advocate of adoption, and please don't let my story put people off coming forward to adopt. But yes, you know, that I've been contacted by so many people that have been through something like this, and then just found that there's no support for them pre or post an adoption breakdown. And it's been really, really great to have that support from other people, and to be able to help them in their situation.
Well, I think anybody listening to you this morning can tell that you loved him very much. And that it was a really, really tough decision that you made, very, very hard. And I understand you'll be beating yourself up for the rest of your life, really, won't you?
I don't think I'll ever really be able to think that, have a day go by that I don't think about him and what's happened.